Hello, and welcome to Cricket House Gaming. Here at Cricket House Gaming, we like to explore the gameplay of simulation games, usually through a series of Let's Plays. In this episode, we will be exploring the gameplay of Democracy 4. Democracy 4 is a political sim that lets you choose the role of a world leader and govern a country. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, welcome, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any future episodes. In this episode, we will be entering our 5th year as President of France. So let's hit that button and see what happens. The GDP is up, unemployment is down, cluster bomb ban, there is an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. An engineering company in our country has won a contract to manufacture and supply cluster bombs to foreign countries. At the moment, there's no specific law that prohibits the company from making these products, but there is widespread public debate that we should ban the production of cluster bombs within our borders. Ban cluster bombs. Cluster bombs cause so much civilian death that there is really no way we should condone the manufacture of such weapons. They are a cruel weapon and there is no justification for their use today. If banning these weapons costs us a handful of jobs, then that's the price we should be happy to pay. Reject the law. It's very easy to say that we should ban the manufacture of cluster bombs, but what next? Stop making guns? Handcuffs? This would be a step towards dismantling our home arms industry, which would cost jobs and hurt investor confidence. It's not the job of the state to interfere with what products the company manufacture. I am rejecting the law. View of us by the Liberals are down, but negative 11%. The views of the capitalists is up plus 8%. Budget report. The international credit rating agencies rate our government as a triple C. This is a bad sign, and it's pushing up the rate of interest we pay on our debt. We must address this. Economic forecast. The global economy is in a recession, and this is having a negative effect on our GDP. Cabinet loyalty. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered adequate. Polls report. The people are indifferent to your government. We estimate getting 54% of the vote in an election. We have 15 political capital. Diplomatic service. Going beyond just having an ambassador and a secretary in a foreign country, employing a full diplomatic service can be more expensive, but in the field of international diplomacy, you need to stay on top of things in order to get the best deals for your country and to keep everyone involved and happy. It may take some time to get working efficiently, but it will boost foreign relations. We need to boost our foreign relations to possibly get our credit rating up, so I am going to implement a diplomatic service. So I am going to raise it to high. It will use 7 political capital. Let's apply the changes. We have 7 political capital remaining. We are the Futurist Party. Perhaps we should invest in the youth young entrepreneur scheme. The scheme is to help and support young people who are aiming to become businessmen in the future by giving them opportunity to learn from veterans and detailed information about what to do and who to ask. This will increase happiness amongst capitalists as they see their future secure. It is 97% popular with the voters. We're going to do it to maximum. We're going to apply the changes. We have 1 political capital remaining. We're going to put our 1 political capital into cyberbullying awareness campaign because this is 100% popular with the vote. We are coming into an election year, so we want to start building up our support so we could win the election. Cyberbullying awareness campaign. A program of adverts on TV, radio, online, and billboards to warn parents and teachers to look out for signs of their children being bullied online so that the problem can be spotted early and dealt with before it affects the children's mental health. We're going to go all the way to the end. Let's apply the changes. We have 0 political capital, and we are done our first term of our 5th year as President of France. We will now be entering the 2nd term of our 5th year as President of France. Let's see what happened. The GDP is up. Unemployment is down. Support democracy protesters. There's an urgent policy question that requires your immediate attention. Street protests are taking place in foreign country with historical ties to us. We do a lot of profitable trade with this country, but their government is authoritarian and we face pressure to openly support the cause of the street protesters. Support the protesters. Do we believe in democracy or not? This should not be complicated. If the government is showing authoritarian tendencies and we believe the protesters have a point, then we should stand by our principles and back them, not keep quiet because it earns us money in trade deals to look the other way. Make no comment. We would be angered if we faced protesters in our street, as all democracies do, and foreign leaders started openly backing the protesters against our government. It would be terrible for our diplomatic relations with this trading partner if we took the side of the relatively small number of protesters in the street. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to support the protesters. The Liberals are loving us at plus 10%. Foreign relations are down at negative 5%. International trade is down at negative 5%. Campaign speeches available. The election draws near, and you may want to take some time out of government to hold a campaign rally and deliver a speech. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a triple C. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Economic forecast. The global economy is in a recession, and this is having a negative effect on our GDP. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can be best described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered adequate. Polls report. The people are indifferent to your government, and we estimate getting 64% of the vote in an election. I'm going to fire the Chancellor of Tax, and we are going to be hiring Enor Benoit. She's got a lot of political capital. Let's hire her. Public Service Minister is now unhappy with us. I'm not going to touch the rest of my cabinet right now. We have 15 political capital. Let's take a look at our campaign speeches that are available. Let's add the Patriot. Capitalists are not so happy. The wealthy are definitely not happy. I think I'm going to do the third one for the Conservatives. Let's give the speech. The capitalist speech versus the socialist speech is really bad. Second speech is tanking. Fire my speechwriters. The speeches at our rally were a catastrophe. The capitalist view of us is up 15%. The socialist view of us is down negative 15%. The conservative view of us is up 5%. The liberal view of us is down 5%. The patriot view of us is up 10%. Let's continue. We have 6 political capital remaining. We're going to try a National Business Council. The establishment of a National Business Council gives a strong voice to business interests and ensures that the needs of business, both big and small, are taken into account. The council serves as a way to promote capitalism and enterprise, get across the message that the corporate world has much to offer, creates employment and prosperity. This will increase capitalism, and we are looking to increase our GDP, so this is going to help us increase our GDP. It will bring down socialism a bit. Let's implement this. It is 100% popular with the vote. Let's bring this all the way to high. Let's apply the changes. We have 4 political capital remaining, but since we're doing a lot of things for companies, let's increase workers on boards. Unpopular with capitalists who fear workers will basically vote themselves higher pay and shorter hours. Socialists and trade unionists see this policy as ensuring a company works for its employees as well as its shareholders. This is 66% popular with the voters. We'll do it to about medium. Let's apply the changes. We have 2 political capital remaining. GDP, the gross domestic product of your country. This is defined as the total market value of all goods and services produced within the nation in a year. This is a good general purpose measure of the strength of your economy and the nation's overall wealth. One of the contributing factors is the global economic cycle. This tends to be cyclical and is beyond your control. We have an uncompetitive economy, so I'm going to invest in technology grants. The government can provide state funding to encourage business to invest in new and exciting technologies. Although this gives us a competitive advantage and can create jobs, it can be argued that this is an unnecessary distortion of the market. It is 100% popular with our voters. Let us use our last 2 remaining political capital to invest in this. Let's apply the changes. We have 0 political capital remaining, and we are at the end of our second term of our 5th year as President of France. Let's hit that button. We will now be entering the 3rd term of our 5th year as President of France. Let's see what happens. The GDP is up, crime is down, poverty is down, and unemployment is down. Grave move protest. The remains of a fascist historical figure has been exhumed from their prominent burial site in the capital and moved to a remote grave. Socialists have praised the relocation, as this chapter of our past will no longer be glorified, whereas conservative nationalists protest against the intervention, expressing that it is not possible to erase the past. Socialists are happy at plus 12%, conservatives are unhappy at negative 12%, and the patriots are unhappy at negative 12%. Organized crime. The police have now cracked the problem with organized crime, and crime lords are now behind bars. Teachers strike. Great news, the teacher strike has been called off and the children can now return to school. Don't expect them to be happy about it though. Campaign speeches. The election draws near, and you may want to take some time out from government to hold a rally and deliver a speech. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just triple C. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Election report. The election is drawing near, and we currently have 111,771 members in the Futurist Party. The opposition party has more members than us. The Progressive Change Party, which is our opposition, has 7%. The Constitutional Party opposition has 0. The Progressive Change Party has more members than us. Cabinet report. The loyalty of your ministers can best be described as supportive. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered adequate. Let's take a look at our cabinet. The public service minister, she didn't like me hiring the tax minister. Let's see if we have someone to replace her. We got poor and conservatives. Maximilian Dupuis. We could hire him. Fire her. And I am going to hire Maximilian Dupuis. He is with the poor and the conservatives, and we have a really good standing with the poor right now. The economy minister is not happy. These two are very happy. Let's look at our campaign speeches. They tanked last time we gave speeches. Their happiness is not great. Let's do middle income. Conservatives' happiness is not great. Let's do a speech with the conservatives as well. We'll just give 2 speeches this time. Alright, so this speech is really not being well received. We're not very happy with our speech. We really have to fire our speechwriters. Middle income seem really impressed with the speech though, so that speechwriter gets to keep his job. The Conservatives' view of us are up 10%. The Liberals' view of us is down 10%. The middle income view of us is up 15%. Let's continue. We have 6 political capital remaining. Traffic congestion. The level of traffic congestion on your roads is chiefly driven by private cars, so reducing car usage will prevent this from becoming a problem. Travel by bus or train is far more efficient and will help reduce congestion even in boom time. We could try toll roads. Toll roads would bring us some money. Toll roads. Toll roads charge motorists to use specific roads, normally major highways. This is a great example of directly applying market forces by only charging those who use particular route for the construction and maintenance of that route. Motorists tend to see this as just another form of taxation, whereas commuters appreciate not being charged for the roads they seldom use. Let's do it to maximum. We'll use 3 political capital. We'll make a little over 5 million euro. Let's apply the changes. We have 3 political capital remaining. Refugee policy. Most countries accept that they have a moral responsibility to take in migrants from disaster zones or war-torn countries, but there is a strong debate on how loose these restrictions and limits should be, especially if climate change and other factors lead to large rise in global refugees. This is 95% popular with the vote. This would increase our view amongst the ethnic minorities and foreign relations. Let's increase this to 3. Patriots will not be happy. We will be seen as a little bit compassionate. Let's apply the changes. We have 0 political capital remaining, and thus we are ending our 3rd term of our 5th year as President of France. Let's hit that button. We are now entering our 4th term of our 5th year as President of France. Let's see what happened. The GDP is up, health is down, poverty is up. Our credit rating was upgraded. The major international credit agencies have increased the credit worthiness of your government. This is great news, and it should result in lower interest rate on our debt, and also may result in a boost of our GDP from higher level of confidence among foreign investors. This news is also likely to please the capitalist voters. Your current credit rating is now a B. The capitalist view of us is up 5%, the GDP is up 3%, and business confidence is up 15%. Manifesto promises are available. I will not be doing manifesto promises. Campaign speeches available. The election draws near, and you may want to take some time out of government to hold a campaign rally and deliver a speech. Budget report. Our credit rating is worryingly just a B. We need to fix this either through growing our GDP, cutting expenditure, or increasing taxation. Polls report. Polls do not look good. Our last polls put us at a 38% of the vote and an election. Election report. The election is drawing near. We currently have 151,386 members of the Futures Party. The opposition party has more members than us. They're still at 7%. We're still at 0, as is the Constitutional Party. Cabinet report. The loyalty of our ministers can best be described as loyal. Their effectiveness is generally to be considered passable. They look like they're doing much better here except for the economy minister, but I'm going to leave her. I'm going to let her have her job. Economic forecast. The global economy is in a recession, as this is having a negative effect on our GDP. We're having a doctor strike here. We need to do something about this. Let's take a look at labor laws. Labor laws are basically restriction on the workers' right to strike. Capitalists argue that such restrictions are vital to prevent key workers, such as power station workers, policemen, and train drivers from holding the country at ransom. Trade unionists consider the right to strike to be fundamental and not open to negotiation. Well, we are balanced. We use 6 political capital to lower this to effect doctor's strike. We have a health problem on our hands and apply the changes. Let's take a look at our campaign speeches. We just used some of our political capital to address our health issue. This has made campaign speeches unavailable to us. We have 8 political capital remaining. Reforestation. As a measure to combat CO2, tree planting is relatively uncontroversial. However, some campaigners suggest that this is treating the symptom and not the cause, and that CO2 should be reduced at the source, not captured afterwards. I am looking at this as this would lower unemployment. It would lower respiratory disease. It would lower CO2 emissions. Let's implement this. Let's do 80 million a year, and we will apply the changes. We have 1 political capital remaining. We could put that last political capital in the telecommuting initiative. Telecommuting or working from home is seen as desirable because it reduces the pressure on the transportation infrastructure and can be an improvement to people's quality of life. It's also welcomed by parents. This policy offers tax incentives to companies supporting this option. Let's do it all the way to the end, and let's apply the changes. We have 1 political capital remaining. Let's put it in tourism. Tourist ad campaign is not only a source of income for many people, it also strengthens our foreign relations. This campaign will run in foreign countries, showing our most beautiful places, important sights to see, wonderful people to meet, tasty beers to drink, and maybe even throw in a few free tickets to museums and shows, all in the hopes of attracting more people to visit us. Let's use our last remaining political capital on this and apply the changes. We have 0 political capital remaining, and thus we are at the end of our 4th term of our 5th year as President of France. Let's see how the election went. So, are we ready to start the count? Here we go! We were voted out as the President of France. The Futurist Party got 6.4%, the Progressive Change Party got 26.4%, the Constitutional Party got 38%, 63.5% of our citizens did not vote, so we were voted out as President of France. I'm going to end the episode here. Thank you so much for watching our series as President of France, and thank you so much for stopping by our Crooked House. If you like what you saw, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you want to follow our future episodes. It really helps us out. Have a great week. See you soon.